and welcome back to What Are We Truly Passionate About, episode number 5. This has officially outlived all my other podcast endeavors. Dare I say it? I probably could have surpassed all of them in episode 1, but had to go for extra bonus points to really push past a month. We are definitely doing well because, as you guys know, I am someone who picks up a little hobby and will sometimes forget about them, unfortunately. But I don't know. I feel really passionate about this in a weird way, and I feel like this is my little passion project. And so this week does look a little different. Obviously, for my audio listeners, it will stay the same, but this week I am not doing a video. I just simply cannot put on a face of makeup and get ready. It is later in the evening than I would normally record, but this week we are booked and busy in the best way possible. I've actually known about this for months now. I got Tate McRae tickets for Christmas, literally in January, and now it's August. It's finally come. It's Tate McRae week. So by the time this episode is out, I've already gone to the concert, and I will definitely debrief it in the next episode. I'm super, super excited. One, it just gives me girl time. I get to get with my best friends. But besides that, I get to see Tate. I'm so excited. I think it's just going to be a great concert. And again, I think it's really important to have something to look forward to. And because it was so far out, I didn't really think about it all the time. And now that it's finally creeping up, it's like, oh my goodness, I finally picked out my outfit. And I've just been able to really dedicate a lot of time thinking about that. Even my nails are super fun this week. I'm just super, super excited. I always love going to new places. As someone who travels quite a bit, I'm not an outfit repeater. I fear I am an outfit repeater, but I am a trip repeater. I can count multiple times that I've been to a specific place, but usually going somewhere new is like kind of rare. But I'm really excited for it, and it just feels like a really good opportunity, great time, and we just haven't been able to get together in a while, so definitely excited. And kind of weird lore, honestly. So for the longest, I could never remember where this concert was. If someone asked me, I would just name whatever M state that I could think of, or like area that seemed to make sense. I'd be like, Michigan, Massachusetts. I would literally name the most random places. And no, I'm going to freaking Minnesota. Mall of America, Minnesota. I did almost have the luxury of going once. And I don't know how this worked out. You guys tell me if I was kind of scammed as a child. So I was in Girl Scouts for a couple of years. And one year, they told us, hey, we're going to raise so much money this year. And we're going to take a trip to the Mall of America. And I'm like, the Mall of America? What? This seems awesome. What do you mean? Like, I love shopping. My little 10-year-old self was like too eager. I'm selling cookies. I was putting in work. I don't think I've ever worked this hard in my life. We all hit like the quota that we're supposed to go on this trip. Next thing you know, it's like, whatever, winter break at this point maybe. And we're supposed to have a sleepover. And it's at our troop mom's house. So one of the girls' grandma's house. And next thing you know, like, it's a fine night. Honestly, this was like probably the most chill night we've ever had. Like, I felt like there was no drama, super great vibes. Next thing you know, we wake up in the morning and her mom's like, you guys were so bad. We're canceling the trip to Minnesota, and you guys are only getting 6 Flags season passes because you don't know how to control yourself. Gagged. And you know what? Like, who knows? There probably could have been more lore to it. But again, like, at this point, that's like 14 years ago. And that's how I remember the story. There's a lot that I remember about that time that I'm like, oh, so crazy. Super insane. But yeah, so now I get to live out those dreams and finally get to go to Minnesota. I don't know what I want to buy. I need to go on the website and see what stores they have. Like, that was definitely younger me coded. You know, like, I remember that there was all the rides in there. So gonna spend some time doing that, but I don't really have a lot of time. That's actually why this episode is like getting filmed way earlier than I normally would do it. Because I am hitting the road tomorrow. So I don't have a lot of time, but I do have enough time. I'll definitely make an effort. And kind of in that same bubble, I love how like chill I've kind of been about this trip. Normally, like I said, I can come off like a little bit more type A, but I feel like I'm definitely more type B realistically. And this is just showing that like, because I don't have to control this situation, and not that I feel like I'm always like, I have to control everything, but because I didn't plan it, like it was gifted to me, I'm just like, okay, I'm going with the flow. Like, what do you want to do? So I'm really excited for that. Because normally I am the freak who makes a plan for every single event that we're doing. I mean, I have notably written like time for chit-chatting and catching up, like that's how serious I take scheduling, and I just need to calm it down. But kind of looking at my August schedule, I am super booked and busy. Not mad about it. I like being busy. I prefer being busy, honestly, rather than sitting at home doing nothing. One goal that I had for myself this summer, although I don't have anything consistent currently, don't make it seem that way. Like, still create a routine, get up, do something. And honestly, I've been pretty good about that. And I've had more consistency within my schedule lately and kind of manifesting bigger things. So at the end of last month, I started filling out my schedule for August. And like I said, I've been pretty booked and busy, but I did make sure to take some time and manifest. And I really took a step away from manifesting, if I'm being honest. If I'm being real, sometimes I think when I'm kind of in this downer mood and I get a little bit more negative on myself, I really struggle with seeing like the good things that could potentially come out of this situation. Like, I'm more likely to really hyper fixate on like the bad side of things, and constantly think about that. And in some way, I feel like because that was the only thing I was thinking about, it was kind of manifesting into my day-to-day life. Like, I felt like I was literally living my biggest fears. Obviously, I had this little reality check. Go back to the episode of Reframing My Mind Work, and you kind of get to hear me explore that topic a little bit more. But because I had that like eye-opening conversation with my sister, I think it's kind of exposed me to, okay, well, where do I want to be? And that's all I keep thinking about consistently now. And so that's what I wrote at the beginning of the month on my calendar. And I feel like I'm kind of like actually making it happen for once, I told you guys my job search has been kind of hard, and every day I feel like I'm just applying endlessly for all these job positions, but I really wasn't adding like a whole lot of initiative in my day to day, if I'm being honest. I would just apply for them and kind of just think to myself, well, if something happens, and then that 30-day like tick mark comes by and it's like, actually, we don't want you to work. Here's some AI driven letter that you're going to receive at 2:00 in the morning. Thank you. So after a couple of those, I was kind of burnt out. And then obviously reframed the way I was thinking. I started doing cold calls, and I was getting just like a little bit more confident in myself again, because again, I felt like I was losing myself. And so I took that moment, and now we're really in the stage of manifesting. And right now I'm kind of back into taking initiative in my life. So this is the perfect segue into today's episode. Let's talk about taking initiative in our lives and almost how we can manifest our dream life. So I don't know if you call this delusion, or if it's just I have this unwavering belief in myself. And because of that, I'm not willing to let certain circumstances take over overarching dream. I think the first time I was actually able to realize that manifesting really does work, and it just exudes off of you because it's now this new sense of confidence, was during my senior year of college. Everyone starts applying for jobs. You're trying to get internships. You're just trying to be in a good position when you leave college. And I knew realistically leaving that, yes, within teaching, I will be comfortable. But again, like I was mentioning, I knew for a long time coming that I didn't necessarily want to go in the field, but I felt like I didn't know what else to do. Like I didn't want to switch my major. So I was like, you know what? That can be awesome, but if I could find something else, that would be great. So there was a travel consultant position available through my sorority, and I was like, you know what? I definitely think I'm capable of getting this. I knew it was like tough interviews. A lot of girls would apply, and it was kind of something that was pretty like sought after, I would say. Like, I knew probably since my freshman year, if I had the opportunity, I would try to swoop it up. But because I thought about this, like, I knew within freshman year, you know what, like, that seems really cool, and I think I'm capable of it. By the time senior year rolled around, I knew a couple girls that were applying, but I told myself, you know what, like, I'm gonna apply, and I think I have a pretty good chance. But for me, it's never about, like, I think if you read my application, all right, whatever, I need you to meet me. You meet me, I'm getting the job. That's something I believe. And so I go into this interview. First round, it was kind of crazy too. I remember like something happened where I didn't get on the call at the right time. Well, it was scheduling, like an issue there, but I was like panicking because if you know anything about me and timing, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm losing this. And first interview, amazing. I'm like, okay, that was a little hiccup, but it actually went well. Let's see if I make it to the next round. All right. Make it through the next round, feeling great, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I'm making it through these, like, I know I'm gonna get the job. Next thing you know, it turns into you get to travel for the last interview, and you get, like, the loan out. I'm like, okay, what am I? I'm being silly, but I got flown out for the last interview, and I just knew it in my heart. I was like, this is my job, like, and I ended up getting it. Super thankful for that. I did end up turning it down, but that was like the first time where I was just like, you just gotta believe in yourself, you know? And I think luckily from a young age, my dad has always said, the worst thing someone can tell you is no, you know, like you just have to act and see what's could potentially happen. And honestly, you would be shocked at the opportunities that you're given just by asking people things. I mean, thinking about it, a couple weeks ago, it was randomly downpouring in New York. Me and my sister are walking. Next thing you know, it starts raining. And there's this guy standing next to us. He's like, I don't know. In my head, I would assume he was maybe like a sophomore in high school. He looked like a little youngest. He has this massive umbrella. And I'm just like, will you share that? Just shared it with us. No questions. And it was kind of absurd. Like 1000% whatever. But I think because I'm just willing to be silly and always ask people questions and not be afraid of what their potential response will be, it has opened me up to so many opportunities. And that's all I'm thinking about now. You know, I don't know exactly how I'm going to get to whatever my next life goal in life is, or what that really is yet. You know, like I can say a million and one things, but I always change my mind. So until I feel really confident about something, but I think when I do decide, I'm going to be in a really good position because I think I have gotten down the personability, if that's even a word. But, you know, I feel like I've just never met a stranger. So if I'm capable of having these vulnerable conversations and, you know, just betting on myself and seeing where I can get, I think it's going to open me up to a lot of new doors. So even right now, I potentially have something really, really exciting coming up. And I'm just like, please work out. You know, that's all I've been thinking about. And just, again, that unwavering belief that I have, you meet me, I promise you I can sell you the world. Because I think I'm the best at everything. You know, I want to be the best at everything. There's actually something I think about on a daily, probably more than I should. But I watch Starving Influencers with Quinn, and it was the episode, or I guess it's not influencers anymore, it's celebrities, like feeding starving celebrities. And she had Addison Rae on. And one of the things was like, oh, they always say you tried too hard. You tried too hard. And she was like, yeah, and you don't try enough. Real. I think there's something very unique about wanting to be good at things and wanting to consistently try. We live in a day and age where I feel like people don't really care to try anymore. And if I'm being honest, it's enabled for us. I mean, for God's sakes, think about how much you're casually using AI, and no shade, because I was also one of those people who was using AI an absurd amount, honestly, because I was like, oh, wow, it's like doing my job. Like, but also that's an issue. Like, I love the function of my brain and like having my creative control, and just thinking about how not everyone has that. Like, I think that's something that makes me very special. Why would I allow someone else, or a machine in this case, to take that access away from me? So that's what really made me take a step back, because I really do care about the quality of work that I put out there. Even thinking about how silly this is, like, don't get me wrong. There's definitely better podcast setups, but I do put a lot of thought behind them, like, no one sees me sitting in the corner while I am writing the notes for this, or my 1,000,001 takes trying to make TikToks and trying to grow my little secret account. But at the end of the day, like, those are things that actually matter to me. Like, I want to see success within my creative side. So why wouldn't I try? Just like the slightest bit. It's not going to kill me. I love seeing the work that I produce actually do well. That's just me. But I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist. But because I always know and have this like sense of I'm going to be okay, that's all that I continuously think about. I think that's helping me. Because I was just getting really stressed. I was kind of going on this downward spiral of like, things aren't actually working in my favor. But once I switched my mindset, things did start working in my favor. And I am very, very thankful. It's just interesting to see the shift that you can have in such a short amount of time. Even thinking about a year. A year seems pretty long, I guess. But it's not. Actually, it makes me feel crazy the way that I felt last year versus this year. I always think about the person that I thought I was, the type of person I thought I needed to be, and how I just evolved out of that, One of my favorite things to do each year is I write myself a future me letter, which is like really funny, because I always say I have a really hard time of, seeing life for what it is in the future. Like, I think I try to be really present. I look at moments for what they are currently, not what they could potentially be. So having to take a moment to step out and see what I'm looking for is a little bit hard. But since my senior year of college, I challenged myself to start doing that, because it was really interesting to think about all the things I was super, super stressed about at the start of the year, right? Who are my friends going to be this year? Everyone that I'm super close with graduated. Am I going to be worried about this person? Will you have a job? Are you going to be successful here? So many random things that I was worried about. And then reading it by the end of the year, or just a full year later when I was entering my first classroom, it was super fun. Or even knowing how I felt at the start of that year, and still being able to ask myself all these different questions. So I'm super interested, because it's funny, when I first write the letter, I think about it all the time, like for the next probably week and a half. I vividly remember everything I wrote, but now I'm thinking about it like, oh my goodness, what did I write? I'm super excited to receive that letter, because it exposes me to just a different version of myself. And again, it just reminds me how vastly different I am. So I'm excited for this year, and this is going to be the weekly engagement challenge, and I'm really excited for you guys to take part of this. I want you guys to get on the Future Me website and write yourself a letter for the year. It can talk about anything. Normally, the way that I like to do it is talk about what I'm currently going through, where I am in life, maybe where I want to be, again, all about the manifestations. But then I ask myself questions, like, are you here now? Are you doing this? And so, I don't know, you can make it as serious as you want, as silly. It could be literally anything, but really just take this time to reflect. And, I feel like I always get like the slightest bit emotional after them, but I do thoroughly enjoy just writing those letters to myself. So I hope you guys enjoy that little task this week, and next year when you get it are super thankful, because again, I've never been upset when I receive these letters. But that kind of brings me to the end of today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, as per usual. And again, I think you just need to take some time and not be too hard on yourself for where you currently are, and just remember that you can currently be on the path of the greatest life you could ever live. So again, did we figure out our passions today? Not as much, but it doesn't really matter, because I know all of this is going to add up to what really matters to me the most. So love you guys, and thank you again for listening. I will see you next week, and we will definitely be debriefing Tate McRae. That's the best singing you'll get out of me. Bye.